So here's the follow-up video where I show you what all I did to make it sound good. It's not much. If we start off, I have a group here which by the way, let's just get into the deal. I'm using ASO Link Pro, and you can see this says 16 milliseconds of latency. That is not accurate. Inside of ASO Link Pro, I'm using 128 buffer size on my Evo 4, which is only my headphones. And the Razer Siren Mini has a buffer offset of 10 milliseconds, and it's 128. I had to do that because for some reason that was the only thing that stopped it from just dying every 30 minutes. But yeah, there's all that. Once we finish with that, we have two tracks that are being pulled from the original mic track, which is obviously the microphone. And all three of these are outputting to this group, which has my processing on it. Now, when it comes to these are both for background noise. If I turn off my denoisers, you can hear it's actually pretty solid with the background noise. However, if I turn off both of these, big difference. Now this one, the way I'm handling the low end is I'm singling out pretty much all the low frequencies, and I'm throwing them into a compressor. So that way whenever I talk, the effect is nulled. And then it goes into another compressor just to beat the shit out of even more. I have a whole video on this, I'll link it in the description. And then I have a utility that's flipping the phase on that. What that is essentially doing is it's taking all of the low end that's quiet, and because as soon as I talk, you can see all this stuff goes away, right? Like it starts to get nulled out and beaten by the compressor. That's so whenever I'm not talking and the compressor is allowed to, be open like that, it's flipping the phase on that noise, nulling it out. So I do that for the low frequencies, you can hear all the low end goes away. And then I'm doing the same thing for the high frequencies, and you can hear when I do that, any hiss and stuff will go away. And then after that, I just go into a couple of denoisers that are very, very light, and a gate just to make sure everything goes away. Now, as for EQ, here's how it sounds completely dry. Now, what I think is it's not even that bad. It really isn't. However, I really am not a fan of just the way the high end's handled. There's not enough chunk in there. This is personal preference. You shouldn't do this. And I had some mid issues that I didn't like. Now this looks like a lot, if you zoom out, it's really not a lot. So I cleaned that up with that. Now I am going into a de-esser as well. So that way when I do my it gets cut out a bit, but whatever. And then I go into this thing, which is called Magma Little Tube by Waves. And this, I like the way it changes the way the low end works. And it doesn't really add a whole lot of saturation, if any, but it affects the way it sounds in a nice way. So that also counts as EQ to me. And then of course I do have a bit of compression, and this doesn't really kick in unless I get super loud, and then it'll start to tack it a bit. Go into a limiter just to make sure that I never go above -6, which is around, -20, -19-ish LUFS. And, like I mentioned, the denoisers just barely doing anything. The first one's light, the second one's a little stronger, and then it goes into a gate, and that's really it. That's the whole sound right there. This is a lot to do, right? This is a $30 microphone, but you also have to keep in mind, we're on the internet. I didn't pay for any of this. I torrented every single one of these plugins. I torrented this. In fact, the only plugin that I got slightly legitimately was Magma Little Tube, because they just had a Black Friday thing where they made it free. That's it, dude. You don't have to spend money to get a good sound, as long as you torrent all the shit. Let's be real. $30 microphone. I torrented everything else. It works, man. So there's that. Thanks for watching.